SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Well, good morning, Mississippi. This is Mornings with Richard Cross. This is Thursday, May the 15th, I think. And Richard is in a little bit of traffic. He'll be here in a minute, but I'm going to hold the fort down for you for a second. This is Lance, and we got a bunch going on today, a huge event, the Cinco event. And Richard hit a little bit of a construction zone on the way in, and we'll get him there before long. But we got a busy day with Brian Clark and Trip Hairston, Joe Max Higgins, Todd Wells, and then we got Matt Dowell as well. So be a lot of information to share today and getting you ready for the weekend. Got some updates for you on the weather. And as I know, everyone is always excited about sunny skies. But today, it's going to be a little cloudy across the state of Mississippi, more than likely. And if we start out in the Delta here today, partly sunny, high near 90 degrees, south to southwest winds about 10 to 15 miles an hour. Gusts will get up to about 30 miles an hour. And it'll be mostly cloudy throughout the day, a low around 74 in the evening. So got a lot of baseball kicking off today, too. So hopefully the weather's going to hold out for the final weekend of SEC and Sun Belt play, and also tons of other games going. I see Richard is now crunk up, ready to go. And I will hand off to the chief here whenever I see him get ready. But we'll have some fun today. And I'm not going to spoil Richard's all the weather and preparation that he has put in, because he has a lot of good stuff for you guys.
My man, good to be with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi in Columbus, Golden Triangle area for the Golden Triangle Development Link Cinco event today. We've actually talked about this a lot over the last year and a half. The industrial economic development that's happening in the Golden Triangle region is incredible, and kind of a grand opening today for this fifth major project in the GTR. Good to be with you this morning. Thanks for joining us. C Spire text line is open at 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Looking for game-changing technology? You need C Spire on your team. 5G wireless fiber home internet and business IT solutions built as tough as your defense. Learn more at cspire.com. Whew, Lance, I'm out of breath.
I was hoping you weren't too worried about it, so I could hold it down for a few minutes for you.
So did you tell the story what I did?
No, I was just getting a little weather under the belt,
stayed in Columbus last night and had plenty of time. You know I have to have breakfast, so I ran through and grabbed a biscuit, grabbed the coffee, texted Houston, hey, do you want anything for breakfast? Yeah, give me a biscuit. I got plenty of time. I'm clipping along on 45, coming out here to 4 Electric is where we are today, or 4 County Electric. And all of a sudden, cars are backed up on Highway 45. And I'm like, what is this? And I was like, oh, wait, hold on a second. This is the exit where everybody gets off that's going to work that starts at 6 o'clock or 6:30 in the morning, kind of like myself, not used to seeing the – all right, so I make my way up the exit, go across. So what do I need to do? I need to jump back on 45, go the opposite direction, turn into the parking lot. And as soon as I come off the exit ramp, I'm like, there's a frontage road.
Ooh, frontage road, yes.
Frontage
so
road.
Much
I was like,
fun.
well, surely there'll be a spot to jump off. So I plug it in the map real quick, 5.5 miles away, and then 5.5 miles back. And my apologies for finding that one gap in the fence along the way, throwing it into four-wheel drive and doing a U-turn to cut the time down a little bit.
That's what that F-150, F-250, F-350, that's what they're for.
There you go. It's going to be nice today in Columbus. bumping up against 87 degrees. A little sun peeking through this morning. Some clouds, winds out of the south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles an hour. Clarksdale, you've got cloudy skies today, 88 degrees with winds 15 to 25 miles an hour, even some higher wind gusts possible. Intervals of clouds and sunshine in Biloxi, 85 degrees, breezy there as well. And then in Petal, you've got the warm spot today, cloudy skies, partly cloudy this afternoon, 92 degrees. Winds out of the south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So all in all, pretty good day. Well, you had a few spots with a little chance of rain throughout the course of the day. Madeleine Albright was born on this day in 1937, an American diplomat. She was a delegate to the United Nations from 93 until 97, and then served as the first female Secretary of State for the United States, 1997 until 2001. She was born in Prague, Czechoslovakia. That's a place I'd like to visit one day. Prague is supposed to be absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
You ever been to Prague?
No, I've never been to Europe or any of that. But no, I would love to hit the Eastern European part. It would be amazing. The architecture, the melting of cultures into what you have. The history is so diverse. And it's always been a hotbed. I mean, between Russia and the bigger part of Europe, you got all these states like Estonia and places like that,
The former Soviet bloc.
That's right, yeah.
George Brett, 72 years old today, 1953 is when he was born. Third baseman, Hall of Famer, 13-time All-Star, won the World Series with the Royals in 1985, MVP in 1980. He was born in Glendale, West Virginia, and it's hard to think about George Brett without thinking about the pine tar bat incident. I mean, he went crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Every time I think of George Brett, we went hunting in Southwest Colorado in the Four Corners area that year, and my family would go out there pretty regular as a group. But I remember being in the cabin, and the only thing we had was the radio, and we listened to that World Series, and I was a big fan of George Brett, so them winning it was really cool, but not seeing it,
Yep.
just listening to it on the radio was unique.
That's
it wasn't
awesome.
something we did, very often back then.
Emmitt Smith was born in 1969, college and pro football Hall of Fame running back, played at Florida, won 3 Super Bowls, 92, 93, 95. He was the MVP of the 1993 Super Bowl, and he was he's NFL MVP also in 1993. 3 times he led the NFL in rushing with the Dallas Cowboys, born in Pensacola, Florida, the great Emmitt Smith.
Isn't he one
How
of those
about
types?
18?
Let me ask you this: when you
Go
think
ahead.
of him,
What you
when
got?
you think of Emmett, do you think of like when you were a kid, you had that little spinning top thing that you would just spin as fast as you could, and it would just go all over the place? That's always the mindset I had when I watched him run. It was just like you couldn't tump him over; he could do anything. He and Barry Sanders, to me, were probably the 2 most fun running backs to watch. I don't know.
He
That's me.
he was special. There is no question about that. 1841. Today was the day that immigrants started in the first wagon train making its way to California, heading west. Yesterday we talked about Lewis and Clark exploring the West, and there were others that decided to join them. 1,730 miles, leaving from Independence, Missouri, headed to the West Coast to California through the Sierra Nevadas. A horse, a buggy, and 1,700 miles. Oy. They were a special breed. On this day in 1869, the National Women's Suffrage Association was formed in New York by Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton. The women's suffrage movement, which sought to grant the right to vote for women, spanned decades and culminated in the 19th Amendment, which was passed in 1920. The amendment prohibited the denial or abridgment of voting rights based on sex, effectively enfranchising women nationwide. On this day in 1941, Joe DiMaggio began a record run that stands even today, 56 consecutive Major League Baseball games in which he had a hit. Had the only RBI in a 13-1 loss for the Yankees to the visiting White Sox, but for the next 55 games after that day, this day in 1941, he would just keep on hitting. Billy Graham had one of his largest crusade events in front of 18,000 people at Madison Square Garden in New York on this day in 1957. How about this? Over the course of 58 years, Billy Graham reached more than 210 million people. The New York Crusade of 1957, the longest of his evangelistic crusades, took place at MSG, like we talked about, lasted 16 weeks. The largest audience that Billy Graham ever preached in front of, Seoul, South Korea in 1973. 1.1 million people showed up. He concluded his last crusade in 2005, also in New York. 417 crusades, 226 of them in the United States, 195 of them worldwide, covering 50 countries. What an incredible career for Billy Graham. Got some sports headlines coming up for you. Got some news headlines and a whole lot more. It's Mornings with Richard Cross. Glad to be with you as we celebrate the Cinco event today with the good folks at the GTR Development Link. We're back with you right after this.
I'm going with you, babe. 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 I don't care where you go.
From the veteran.
Pour yourself a cup of coffee and get the Magnolia State's most important news of the day. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Oh, smokestack lightning, shining just like gold.
Thanks for joining us this morning on Super Talk Mississippi. It's Mornings with Richard Cross alongside Lance Talbert. I'm Richard Cross. We are glad to be with you. We've got a lot coming up today. Gerard will be here from 10 until 1 as well as we celebrate the official opening of the Cinco Mega Site in Lowndes County. It's part of the Golden Triangle Development Link. Our good buddy Joe Max Higgins will be along a little bit later today. We're also going to talk with Lowndes County supervisors, the general manager, CEO of 4 County Electric Power Association. They are intimately involved in all of these industrial development projects that have happened in the Golden Triangle. Todd Wells from PACCAR is going to join us this morning, and also Matt Dowell from the Golden Triangle Regional Airport. There is a lot of incredible stuff that is happening in this part of the state of Mississippi. We're going to tell you all about it today. But we'll start things off with some news headlines. By the way, the C Spire text line is open. Love to hear from you this morning at 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. Good morning to all of you.
Hey, I wanted to go, before we move on, we have 3 iconic things that did happen on this day in history.
Okay.
In 1928, Mickey Mouse made his debut with the premiere of the cartoon Crazy Plane, Plane
Okay.
Crazy. So that's an iconic American thing. And then in 1940, we got nylon socks. They sold out the moment they went on the shelves. And then finally, 1940, in San Bernardino, California, the McDonald brothers, opened up their first drive-through with barbecue sandwiches. Later became known as McDonald's hamburgers.
Yeah, I don't think the barbecue sandwich made it.
No,
Still
no.
got the McRib
Yeah.
floating around.
That was my
but,
question to you. Do you think that they had the McRib back then? Because I think that the McRib probably was invented about 60 years ago, and they just thaw them out every so often. But I love them, man. I'll eat 20 of those.
Of course you do. You got to pull the onions off the
No,
McRib, though.
no,
That's not the
man.
right combination.
I'll crush those onions on there.
For the 6th year in a row, Cruising the Coast was chosen by USA Today as the best place for motor lovers to meet up. It's considered America's largest block party, taking place each fall. You know what the deal is. Do you know the scale, though? 9,000 vehicles, hot rods, classic, antique cars, in a massive show along the Beachside Highway in Mississippi. USA Today editors wrote, car lovers adore this annual event, which has taken over the Mississippi Gulf Coast since its inception in 1996. Last fall, Cruising the Coast drew nearly 10,000 vehicles from 43 states, Canada, and England, registering for events held across 12 cities on the shoreline of the Gulf of America on Mississippi's Gulf Coast. 2025 edition this year, coming up October 5th through the 12th, already being prepared for. It's the 30th anniversary of Cruising the Coast. Also featured on the USA Today list was one of the largest car shows held in central Mississippi. We've talked about this before. Renaissance Eurofest takes place every year in Ridgeland, just a couple of weeks before Cruising gives gearheads a pit stop worthwhile before heading south. Eurofest is primarily focused on cars from across the pond. Sleek Lamborghinis, rare Bentleys, restored Porsches, Ferraris, Aston Martins, and BMWs. It has become a hit with readers, ranking it at number 6. So the number 1 and number 6 car shows in the United States happen right here in the state of Mississippi. President Donald Trump yesterday met with Syrian President Ahmad al-Sharaa in Saudi Arabia. It was the first encounter between the two nations' leaders in 25 years, going back to when Bill Clinton was in office, and one that could serve as a turning point for Syria as it struggled to emerge from decades of international isolation. The meeting, which is part of Donald Trump's trip to the Middle East, it was a get-together that was put together by the Gulf Cooperation Council, marks a major turn of events for Syria, who's still adjusting to life after the over 50-year ironclad rule of the Assad family. And the new leader, al-Sharaa, he hasn't always been a good guy. Syria certainly hasn't always been a good guy. At one point, al-Sharaa had a $10 million United States bounty on his head for arrest. Trump announced on Monday of this week in Saudi Arabia that he would lift the U.S. sanctions that have been placed on Syria under the deposed autocrat Bashar Assad. Syrians went crazy when this announcement happened. Crazy in a good way. They set off fireworks, celebrating hope for their nation going forward, hoping that they might be able to rejoin the world's economy at a time when they most need investment. The meeting came after, back in a couple of months ago, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, encouraged Donald Trump not to lift the sanctions on Syria. Al-Sharaa was named interim president back in January, a month after a stunning offensive by insurgent groups led by al-Sharaa's HTS. They stormed Damascus and ended the 54-year rule of the Assad family. This is a move that has been applauded by Gulf Arab leaders, and they are a big, big fan of what Donald Trump is doing in the region. And this is it's a decision that is fraught with probably consequences. I suppose the question is, will there be any unintended consequences? Donald Trump very clearly focusing on economic development in the region, and that's economic development that has been evident on this trip after the $600 million that the Saudis announced they were putting into the United States economy in terms of development over the coming years. Yesterday, Qatar announced a $1.2 trillion investment, including the largest order of Boeing airplanes ever. 160 of the planes is how many they've ordered. As long as it's not Air Force One, they should be okay, right? I mean, you can't get 2 Air Force Ones done in over a decade, but hey, 160 Boeings, maybe that's going to work. Apparently, Lance, Democrats don't even like themselves.
That's not surprising.
That's right.
Yeah.
6 months after Donald Trump's victory, Democrats remain deeply pessimistic about the future of their party. I spoke with someone yesterday, and he said, man, it really is incredible in array at the local level, the state level, and certainly at the national level. A new poll conducted earlier this month by the Associated Press found that only about a third of Democrats are very optimistic or even somewhat optimistic about the future of their party. That's down pretty significantly from just July of last year when 6 in 10 Democrats believed in the future of the party. They're trying to figure out who the next presidential candidate is going to be. They're trying to figure out what the message is. And in the survey, Democrats offered mixed reviews for some of their party's best-known elected officials, including Chuck Schumer and AOC, both from New York, and reported significant concerns about how leaders are chosen in this United States political system. Republicans slightly more optimistic about the future of the GOP. Over half Republicans are either very or somewhat optimistic about the future of the party. 47% was the number a year ago, so up almost 10 percentage points. However, only 3 in 10 Republicans are optimistic about the state of politics in the United States. That's actually up a little bit as well. That number was only 10% last summer. Gavin Newsom has got all kinds of problems in California. The state is facing a $12 billion deficit, and Gavin Newsom has some ideas to try to close that gap a little bit, including freezing enrollment of in-state funded health care for immigrants living in California without legal status. Feels like a novel idea. Newsom announced the deficit and his plans to cover it Wednesday as he outlined his nearly $322 billion state spending budget. Newsom has highlighted California's contributions to the United States and to the world and has said that President Trump's economic policies could reduce state revenues by $16 billion in the coming years. Newsom said California is under assault. We have a president that's been reckless in terms of assaulting those growth engines. No, it couldn't be that the politics in California have actually assaulted the growth engines, causing some of those major companies to leave the state. Couldn't be that. The assembly leader that is a Republican in California criticized Newsom and had some sharp words for him. He said, Newsom's pointing on the budget shortfall is the biggest load of crap I've ever seen from a politician, and he shovels out a lot of it. We're in this mess because of his reckless spending, false promises, and failed leadership. Just 1 year left in the term of California Governor Gavin Newsom. He is not eligible to run for office again in the state. Coming up next, we got some sports headlines and also an update from the Mississippi Lottery. Glad to be with you on this Thursday morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi, live today in Lowndes County as we celebrate the opening of the Cinco Mega Site. We're back after this.
Shaping Mississippi politics each morning. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk Mississippi.
Back with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi. This is our Golden Triangle Development Link live show today, as this is the official unveiling of the Cinco Mega Site. And we're going to tell you a ton about that as we go throughout the show this morning, as we go throughout the day here on Super Talk Mississippi. This is the final weekend of the regular season for college baseball. Texas A&M is at Georgia this weekend. All of the series in the SEC, the Sun Belt, and most of the conferences across the country are Thursday, Friday, Saturday this weekend instead of the normal Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you got A&M at Georgia, top 25 matchup with number 16 Alabama and number 13 Florida. Remember, that's a Florida team that started 1-11 in conference play. Mississippi State on the road this weekend looking for wins. The Bulldogs really could use a sweep of the Missouri Tigers. 2 games might be enough as the Bulldogs are trying to get into the postseason. Top 25 matchup in Oxford with number 2 Auburn and number 22 Ole Miss. For the Rebels, they need 2 this weekend, maybe 3 to keep their chances of hosting an NCAA regional in Oxford at Swayze Field alive. Number 2 Texas. Number 2 in a different poll is at number 16 Oklahoma, so that's Red River baseball style. And then a big one in Fayetteville this weekend, number 12 Tennessee, who has lost a series for 4 consecutive weekends, taking on Arkansas, who has a puncher's chance still to claim the SEC title, 2 games in the overall standings behind the Texas Longhorns. So that's in the SEC. The Southern Miss baseball team travels to Troy for the final weekend of the regular season. Game time tonight, 6 o'clock. The Golden Eagles have won 12 games in a row. At worst, with 1 win this weekend, they will finish in second place. Still an outside chance that they could win the Sun Belt, but they need somebody to beat Coastal Carolina. The series between Troy and Southern Miss began in 1949. The Eagles own the all-time advantage, 25-14. 8-6 in games played in Troy, Alabama. Southern Miss 6-2 against Troy since the two teams joined the Sun Belt in 2023. 3 straight sweeps for USM in league series, and they've done it with balance. Over the last 10 games, they're hitting .352. 21 doubles, 2 triples, 19 home runs, 90 runs driven in. And, oh, by the way, a team ERA of 2.72. 81 strikeouts, only 62 hits allowed, and just 16 walks over the last 86 innings. Southern Miss playing some good baseball right now. For the 13th time in program history, the Ole Miss men's golf team is advancing to the NCAA championship. The third-ranked Rebels finished in second place in the Tallahassee Regional. It was hosted by Florida State. Rebels had a really hot yesterday. They had a tournament low round as a team yesterday. Chris Malloy, the head golf coach at Ole Miss, has now guided the Rebels to 3 of their 7 NCAA championship team appearances. Michael Lasasso finished tied for second in the regional, led the way for Ole Miss at 11 under par. Ole Miss finished 9 shots behind the regional winner, Florida State, but 6 shots better than New Mexico, 13 better than Georgia, and 17 shots better than Augusta. Those 5 teams headed to California now to compete for a national championship. Today in 1973, the California Angels' Nolan Ryan recorded his first career no-hitter, winning 3-0 over the Kansas City Royals. Ryan, who was one of Lance's idols, he was a dude. He had an arm that was like bionic. Never got tired. Threw a record 7 no-hitters during his major league career. 3 more than any other pitcher in big league history. The no-hitters spanned 3 decades of pitching. In those 7 games, Ryan accumulated 94 strikeouts with just 26 walks. The great Nolan Ryan, the Ryan Express.
Man, he's a heck of a fighter off the mound, too.
Robin Ventura
learned a
remembers
lesson.
well.
Yeah, he learned a lesson there. It's like you get a cow, you know, and you just pull the cow with you and give it a few slaps across the face. That Texas in him came out. You know, you could tell he knew what he was doing.
Had the pleasure years ago of interviewing Nolan Ryan on the radio, and we asked him about that, and it was incredible to hear him tell the story. And he said, you know, kind of in retrospect, he feels bad for Robin Ventura. Didn't feel bad for him in the moment. What is it? You come at the king, you better not miss. I think that's the way the saying goes. Hey, one more sports note for you. Mississippi State's athletics director, Zach Selman, has received a 1-year contract extension and a raise. Base salary goes from $1 million to $1,025,000. He's going to get a $25,000 salary bump in each of the next 4 years. And then there's also an annual retention bonus in there of $100,000 a year. So congratulations to Zach Selman, who's got a big job right now as he is searching for Mississippi State's next head baseball coach. All right, let's get you your Mississippi Lottery update brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery. MSLottery.com. Lotto America, no jackpot winner in yesterday's drawing, which means for Saturday, $34,360,000 is the estimated jackpot with an estimated cash value of over $15.5 million. Last night's numbers, 2, 8, 9, 20, and 42. The star ball was 3. The all-star bonus multiplier was 2. No jackpot winner last night with the Powerball, and so the jackpot goes up to $123 million for Saturday night's drawing with an estimated cash value of almost $56 million. Numbers were 4, 10, 24, 29, 53. The Powerball was 4, and the Power Play multiplier was 3.
Well, double play numbers from Wednesday, May the 14th. Those numbers 2, 44, 55, 56, 67. Powerball of 5. Mega Millions, no jackpot winner yet. Jackpot is up to $122 million for the Friday, May 16th drawing. Estimated cash, $54.8 million. Tuesday's numbers, 6, 29, 33, 47, 68 with a mega ball of 20.
No jackpot winner with Mississippi Match 5. Tonight's jackpot up to $460,000. Yesterday's drawing numbers 2, 4, 5, 6, 16.
No one got that one? Goodness gracious.
I'm always intrigued when you get those consecutive numbers in there.
Yeah. I mean,
4, 5, and 6.
All of them within the top 16, too, yeah. Cash 3, $500 Wednesday numbers, midday 006, evening numbers 653. Cash 4, $5,000 midday drawing, 7672, evening numbers 3809. Fireball of 9 and a cash pop of 11 in the midday. Evening Fireball 1, cash pop of 1.
Today is the day the lottery will announce the winner cities of the penultimate, next to last, Pink Panther Diamond Tripler bonus promotional drawing. Lucky winners today will score cash prizes of $5,000, $10,000, and $15,000, and that's not all. The lottery also giving away $300 gift cards for a little extra sparkle. Only one drawing remains after today. Mark your calendars for May 29th. But don't wait to get in on the excitement. You want to be the first to know where the winning cities are? Become a Mississippi Lottery Insider. You can do that for free at mslottery.com. Those summer games are heating up for the Mississippi Lottery. Get your $2 heat stroke, $5 blazing hot bucks, and $10 red hot cash scratch-offs. May's hottest games are on sale now. Prizes up to $200,000. How about some winners? How about a Greenwood woman that won $5,000 on a Cash 4 ticket from Parker's filling station in Greenwood? A Jackson man who won $2,600 on a ticket from Super Fuel in Jackson, also a Cash 4. And you had a couple of women from Blue Mountain and Aberdeen scoring $1,350 on tickets from Buzzed in Ripley and Sprint Mart in Aberdeen.
Well, where'd you finish up there?
Cash pop for you.
Oh, there we go. Cash pop. Yeah, players Monticello, Louisville, Ocean Springs, Blue Mountain each won $1,000 on tickets from Andy's Food in Monticello, Woody's and Noxapater, Scarlet Pearl Casino Resort in D'Iberville, and Ripley One Stop LLC in Ripley. While a Clinton man on the cash pop won $2,500 on a ticket from Newton Crossing in Newton.
I'm just keeping you on your toes.
Yeah, I was like, where did he go?
Bottom of the list working up instead of the top and working down.
I love it.
West Point man won $800 on a ticket from Sprint Mart. That was a match 5. A Mega Millions winner, Sims Alabama man. Thanks for stopping by. Won $2,000 on a ticket from Midway Food Mart in Moss Point. Boonville woman, $2,000 on a ticket from Dynasty Deli in Boonville. And a player from Atlanta, Georgia, won $1,000 on a ticket from Love's Travel Stop in Holly Springs. We today are broadcasting live from Lowndes County. We are at the 4-county electric department. If you're driving by on Highway 45, you can't miss us. Big party tent set up out in front. You can see the SuperTalk Mississippi bus. They've got breakfast out for the ceremony this morning. The official unveiling of the Cinco mega site.
Hey, and if you really want to know how to get there the quickest way, just follow the tracks.
Follow the tire tracks.
The tire tracks of Richard's Ford, yeah.
I would not recommend going that route. Over 1,400 acres of prime developable land with robust infrastructure plans already in place. So if, I don't know, you want to invest a few $100 million into Lowndes County and open a company, they've got a site ready for you. Really is incredible how big, how vast this newest mega site is here in Lowndes County. We're going to learn more about that. Brian Clark, CEO, General Manager of 4-County Electric Power Association, will join us coming up next. Glad to be with you. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
Mornings with Richard Cross, here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
What else?
And always on the Super Talk app.
Gorgeous Thursday morning across the Magnolia State. Thanks for spending part of the start of your day with us. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Headed out the door to get kids to school or maybe off to work this morning. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm happy to be joined by Brian Clark this morning. He is the CEO and General Manager at 4 County Electric Power Association. That's where we're broadcasting live today. That's where the big ceremony and the official announcement of the Cinco mega site is happening. Not exactly something that you can keep under wraps until you get to the official grand opening when you talk about the scale, Brian, of this project and the previous projects here in the Golden Triangle.
Amen, brother. You've met Joe Max, right?
Yeah, I have.
Yep, so you can't hide anything, right? Joe's going to say it.
What did he tell us that Taco was his nickname in college?
Taco.
I think he did say that, yeah.
I think that's
among
what he
others.
said. And I told him, I said, you're going to be Taco to me from here on out. So you are the person that is solely responsible for providing all the power for all of these mega sites, right?
No, actually, some of it comes from TVA.
It's probably good that is not your sole responsibility. You know, one of the things that's been interesting to me as I've learned more about these mega sites over the last few years is the role that power plays in making these go. And I guess it's something I probably should have thought about in the past, but the utilities piece of what these major corporations need, industrial corporations need, it's pretty staggering what some of their needs are.
Yes, and it's a make-or-break deal, right? Like you said, most people don't think about that as being a hinge point.
Yeah.
But that's one reason Mississippi's been so attractive, right? TVA over the decades has had plenty of power. And over the past couple of years, TVA has had its constraint on power. But the positive is TVA is in the process right now of building 3,500 megawatts of new power plants.
Okay.
The total in the next couple of years is going to be 5,500 megawatts of power. So it's coming. Now, you can't look at TVA and say, well, they didn't plan for this because the entire nation is in the same position, right? Mm-hmm. So no matter where you look. But we've been very attractive here because we've done a good job at landing stuff in the past. Yokohama, PACCAR, the steel mill. Most of those big plants, like the steel mill, direct serves from TVA. The steel mill, most people don't know this, is the largest direct served customer in the Tennessee Valley, all the way down here in Mississippi. Huge, 300 megawatts, up to 400 megawatts. They're doing a great job. TVA is doing a great job getting them powered. The Cinco mega site across the street, and I don't want to steal Joe's thunder, but Cinco, right?
Sure.
5. How many places have 5 mega sites?
I can't imagine that there are that many. Certainly not in rural southern states.
Correct. And then how many have 4? None. How many have 3? None. How many have 2? None. So first place in the Tennessee Valley that's got 5 megasites. It's because of location, the things that we offer, and the power being a part of it.
Yeah.
And we couldn't do it without partners, right? TVA, 4 County. If it's a smaller load, less than 120 megawatts, we'll serve it. Our largest customer right now is about 10 megawatts. So you see a big jump from 10 to getting to 120 megawatts.
Numbers are hard on the radio sometimes. Can you try to explain or at least kind of paint the picture of how much a megawatt of electricity is?
So think of 4 County Electric Power Association. We're in 9 counties.
Okay.
We have 52,000 meters on our system.
Have y'all thought about rebranding to 9 counties?
No, we like our name. And, I think we'll just stick with it.
You got all the business cards already made.
That's right. The sign's on the front, and it rings off your tongue. So 52,000 meters across 9 counties. Mm-hmm. 40,000 of that are homes. We have a lot of small commercial. Those of you not familiar with our area in the Golden Triangle had a lot of growth, right?
Yeah.
That entire system, our entire system, 52,000 meters, has about a 300 megawatt load.
Okay.
So take 9 counties, 52,000 meters, that same amount of power goes to one plant at the steel mill to make that steel. That gives you a scope of how much megawatt is.
Do they have more than 1 meter there, or does it just all run through 1 meter to?
No, there's a smaller meter for the office that we serve, but the big meter that gives power to the mill is TVA.
There you go. Is that a fun bill to send out at the end of every month?
Well, the office bill is not that big, right?
No, I'm talking about the big bill.
Well, TVA sends that, so that's not
there
us.
There you go. It is interesting when you talk about partnership because it's not something where you're generating all the power on site and sending that over. What's it been like to work with TVA? Because people are TVA, and that's the power authority, but you've also got this Tennessee Valley Authority that is people that are appointed to the board that are overseeing it, and they're trying to figure out how you're buying power and how you're generating power and how it gets distributed. What's that relationship like?
So there's different levels to it, right? The frontline staff, a lot of them work in our communities. They live on our system. They're made up of us. They're great to deal with. TVA does a lot from economic development standpoint, helping us with the Cinco mega site. They also help us on grants and programs to help schools, to help different not-for-profit communities in our footprint. All the way up to, we have a TVA board member that lives up on Holly Springs system in North Mississippi, Bill Rennick. He's doing a good job on TVA's board. As you know, Trump fired a couple of TVA board members, so that's going to be a process to get that done.
Sure.
Right now, there's not enough board members to take any board action. They don't have a quorum. So they'll have to get through that later this year, get somebody appointed to where they can take some action. But TVA is still operating. The thing I like the most is they've admitted that they need more power, and they're building more power plants.
Sure.
Now, personally, I'd love to see a nuclear plant in Mississippi.
Yeah.
They're looking at them in Tennessee. There's a power plant in Cheatham County, Tennessee, that they're trying to build. It's a gas plant, and the community's not really on board. They're getting a lot of pressure. But the stark contrast to that is TVA's building a gas-fired plant in Caledonia, and they rolled out the red carpet. I mean,
you've rolled out the red carpet for.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
Start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Glad to have you along for the ride on this Thursday morning. The weekend is just around the corner. This hour of the Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They provide a full range of employer services, plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go online at mwgemployerservices.com. We got cut short there at the end and wanted to finish the conversation up with Brian Clark, CEO, General Manager for County Electric Power Association. Today is the official unveiling of the Cinco mega site, and Brian, it's hard, I think, I'll let you speak to this instead of me just assuming, but to put into words or understanding just how much goes in to getting to this point. And we haven't gotten to the point where you've got new buildings that are being constructed or contracts that have been signed, unless Joe Max is going to break something for us on the air this morning in terms of tenants. But the work that goes into getting this ready so that you can say to a tenant, we're here, we're ready, all you got to do is come in and press go.
Yeah, so the most of the work is done by Joe Max and his team at the Link office. They've done a lot of the legwork for months to get to this point, right? No substations have been built yet. No infrastructure from the electric standpoint has been built yet. But it's a lot of legwork for them to get the land deal put together, to get the option put together, and actually get to purchase.
Right.
Several months. It's a huge deal for us. Like we said a while ago, Cinco is 5, right? But it's a really big deal for me personally at Ford County because it's right across the street from our office. Whatever goes there, we're going to be seeing it every day, and we look forward to seeing it.
Yeah. Well, and seeing those other 4 and the impact that they've had. You've been here 20 years, been in this Golden Triangle area. Talk to me a little bit about the transformation and what it's looked like from when that first site came online to where we are now.
Yeah, I would say, what's the old saying, raising waters, raise all boats, right? Yeah. A simple way to look at it, and it could be a positive or a negative, is years ago, coming to work at 5 in the morning on the interstate from the house 20 miles from here, you might see 2 cars. Now at 4:30 and 5 in the morning, it's like Talladega, 2 lanes wide, coming all the way to work. You try to exit, and the traffic is backing up into the highway.
Yes, I am well aware. I am well aware. I ran into that this morning.
Yes, I think.
But everybody knows where they're going. They're still moving pretty well.
No accidents that I know of. But that's one thing. The other is a lot of houses are being built. You can see people's disposable income going up in the area. So it's changed a lot in 20 years from not having a whole lot of industry going on before then to explosive growth of when we go to Link meetings with Joe. Joe's always bringing somebody that's looking in our area all the time.
Yeah.
Right? It's not a dull time. It's not slow. Somebody's always looking. It's fast-paced, and it's never dull.
Well, and it's fascinating when you tell the story of the Golden Triangle, and I know this is specific to West Point, but I think it's representative of the larger region and maybe even the larger state. Part of that story is, well, when Bryan Foods / Sara Lee closed down, everybody was left with, oh my goodness, where do we go from here? There were so many jobs that came from that. And you go through that difficult time into this period where all anybody is talking about is industrial growth. And frankly, that's not happening all over the United States.
No, we're in a great place. We're blessed. God's blessed us. As you said, West Point went through some dark times. Bryan Foods was a big plant that shut down.
Absolutely.
A lot of employees, I don't know how many, but probably hundreds, 800-900 employees probably, that were out of a job. And then to have a big plant like Yokohama come in, it raises the spirit in that community. You can see it and feel it when you're there. Before Yokohama came and some of these other plants, PACCAR, the steel mill, aluminum mill, you could feel it. It's just a great place to be with a positive attitude now.
Yeah, it's a lot of really good stuff going on. Brian, thanks for stopping by this morning. Great to visit with you.
Thank you for having me,
Continued
Richard.
success. It's going to be a fun day.
Yes, sir, it is.
Brian Clark, CEO, General Manager at 4 County Electric Power Association, visiting with us on Mornings with Richard Cross. Coming up in just a little bit, Trip Hairston and Leroy Brooks will join us. They are supervisors here in Lowndes County. Joe Max Higgins will be I don't know what he's selling today, but I'm sure we'll all be buying by the time he's done. Todd Wells, who's plant manager at PACCAR, and also Matt Dowell from the Golden Triangle Regional Airport, all coming along this morning. We're glad to be with you. You can join us on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. Ready for your winning strategy? Here it is. Join C Spire. All the technology and support you need to succeed at home, at work, and everywhere else. Visit cspire.com today. C Spire, inspired by you. Talking a lot this morning about economic development. Have you seen the stories out of the Middle East for the last couple of days? 2 days ago on Monday, the story emerging out of Saudi Arabia was the meeting between Donald Trump and the Crown Prince, MBS, and a $600 million investment in the United States economy over the coming years. I don't know if it was like regional competitiveness or it was just kind of the way that it was planned out. Yesterday, Qatar announced a $1.2 trillion investment into the United States. They're calling it economic exchange. Also announced economic deals totaling nearly $250 billion between the United States and Qatar directly. It's an incredible amount of money. And, Lance, we were kind of joking around about it yesterday. You know, as expensive as this trip is, when you send the Secret Service and a C-130 with, the Beast and Suburbans and all the personnel that goes with it, pretty expensive trip to the Middle East. When you come home with over $200 trillion of committed investment, you kind of feel like the money you've spent is paying off.
Yeah, I mean, you got to spend money to make money, right? And in this case, I think the money that has been spent has definitely been well worth the investment. If you're talking $2 trillion plus in a few days getting out and about on his first trip abroad, really, that's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is.
So some of the highlights: Boeing and GE Aerospace have secured a landmark order from Qatar Airways, $96 billion to acquire 210 American-made Boeing 787 Dreamliners, 777X aircraft powered by GE Aerospace engines. Let's bring that closer to home. You know what's in Batesville, right? You know what was just announced not too terribly long ago, an expansion of the GE Aerospace plant that is in Batesville, Mississippi. They may be announcing another expansion here before long. Boeing's largest ever wide-body order and their largest ever 787 order. The historic agreement will support, according to the White House, 154,000 United States jobs, which will bring the total to over 1 million jobs in the United States during the course of production and delivery. Several deals that are in the billion-dollar range. Parsons has successfully won 30 projects worth up to $97 billion, fueling significant company growth there. You're familiar with Raytheon. They secured a $1 billion agreement for Qatar's acquisition of counter-drone capabilities signed by the governments. And that's the thing. A lot of these are defense spending deals. And so they're kind of two-way projects back and forth. It underscores this larger conversation about economics, cultural differences, things that have been in place for a really long time. And it's something we talked about yesterday. We go back to the speech that Donald Trump gave at that U.S.-Saudi investment forum on Monday, when he talked about his predecessors spending too much time trying to look into the soul of world leaders. And I think it just drives home the fact that we know that the Middle East is a different culture. It's a different religion. Everything that is happening there is different, but there has been an effort to modernize that part of the country. Is that going to change thousands of years of religious beliefs? No, of course not. Is it going to change thousands of years of cultural norms that are so different than what we deal with on a daily basis? Of course it's not. But Donald Trump is not ignoring all of that black gold, or Texas tea, as it is sometimes referred to, in the ground in the Middle East. The oil reserves that exist there still kind of drive the economic engine for those Middle Eastern countries. But it's fascinating to watch them recognize the need to diversify in terms of resources and economic growth. And things are better in that region of the world than they have been. We'll see if they continue. C-Spire text line open to you at 601-879-4395. We've got a lot more coming up with you as we broadcast live from the official unveiling of the Cinco mega site in the Golden Triangle. Brian was very kind to provide us a roadmap to understand that Cinco means 5, and the reason they've named it Cinco is because this is the 5th site in the Golden Triangle area. More businesses making their way to Columbus and West Point and all of the surrounding areas, these counties coming together to do something truly special. How do you get county government to agree to be part of a project like this? I'm hopeful that Trip Hairston and Leroy Brooks can shine a little light on that. And maybe answer the question whether or not what has happened here in the Golden Triangle can be replicated in other parts of the state of Mississippi. We're back with you after this. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
From the Venable Glass.
From Sumner to Summit to Summerall, Richard has something for you. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
The Cinco mega site, that's what we're talking about. That's what we are celebrating today. The 5th major industrial mega site in the Golden Triangle region. And happy to be joined by Trip Hairston this morning. He is a Lowndes County Supervisor, represents District 2 in Lowndes County, and is president of the Board of Supervisors. And Mr. Leroy Brooks, who represents District 5, and I asked him when he sat down, I said, how long? And he said 42 years on the Board of Supervisors. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Thanks for stopping by.
Glad to be here.
Leroy, I want to actually start with you.
Okay.
You said 42 years, and the reason I asked was I was curious if you'd been there since the beginning. When the decision was made, not just with Lowndes County, but with the surrounding counties, that you were going to make this kind of investment in the future for this part of the state of Mississippi, what was that conversation like? How difficult was it to say, yes, we're going to take some of the county's resources, some private resources, and we are going to invest in our future, not knowing what that might look like?
Well, you know, one of the interesting things, Joe Higgins has the ability to kind of take you on down that road. You know, every elected official, and certainly the time on my board, have been interested in economic development. Of course, we never imagined in our wildest dreams it would be like this. So, you know, why not? You know, one of the things that Joe would say, look, let's have it ready so when we call them, they don't have to wait. Let's get the water, sewer infrastructure. So it just all made good sense, and so, again, any reasonable elected official would think if it makes good sense, let's try it. So, that was kind of the attitude is we've got this industrial park out there. It's been sitting out there, so let's give it a try. I don't think it was a whole lot of hee-hawing, but you got to understand, a man will forget a lot in 40-something years.
I was going to say, I'll ask Joe Max later if he thought there was much hee-hawing to get the initial deal done. Tripp, Joe Max spins it as, at this point it's easy because we've had the success, the roadmap is there, and we say the next one, and you don't have to go raise money as much because these things are paying for themselves. From your perspective, is it easy at this point?
Well, there's a lot of trust there, of course. And when Joe comes to us with projects or whatever idea it may have, a lot of times we don't flinch because we trust him. And it's a proven record. I have the unique ability to stand on the shoulders of giants because I was not there and served on the board, of course, when Leroy was there, and they made those first decisions about developing the first park and had the first mega site. So I get to see it from the other side now as we develop this new park. It was pretty interesting after the aluminum announcement. We all of a sudden looked up and there was no developable land for economic development. So it's been really interesting looking at it from that standpoint and being on the other side to say, okay, let's take a raw piece of land and make it an industrial site. So really, really interesting and a lot of fun.
When you're on the board of supervisors, and I guess this is for both of you, your job is to make sure that all of the residents of the county are receiving the services they need. They're getting the things that they need. That's easier to do when there's more money in the bank. What are the challenges to growth? Because these projects are not easy. I mean, I can make the jokes all I want to about, hey, well, you've done them and you got money in the bank, and so you just roll forward. But in terms of taking on a project like this, what are the challenges that you see?
Some of the challenges with growth are, as you probably experienced this morning at 6 whatever or earlier in the traffic jam. I plan to have a meeting here in this office with Caldwell, so he can at 6 something in the morning, so maybe he can get caught in that traffic and we can try to do something about the traffic jam. We had to put a sheriff's deputy there.
Have you ever been to Atlanta? I don't know that I actually would call that a traffic jam. Just a little bit of a slowdown, but no, I get what you're saying.
It's not the stack in Jackson, right?
No.
But you have to have a sheriff's deputy there moving traffic along. That's something new. Wear and tear on roads as we have construction. All those are good things, and just like Brian said earlier, there's good and bad with that. So we see a lot of infrastructure issues when you have a lot of growth. But that's a good thing, and that's the problems that we can work through.
Leroy, you've kind of been here for all of these projects, this being the fifth. Is there an end in sight? Is there a cap to how far this can go?
Well, I asked that question on the way out here. I said, we make this happen, what's next? Because eventually you run out of developer property. Mm-hmm. And certainly one of the issues is always going to be manpower. Getting people trained to man these jobs. And, of course, what you'll see, people who work at one plant and another one they'll go over there. So, those are issues, but that was certainly my thought. I grew up out here, as Tripp did too. We call it the prairie. And, and people never thought anything would happen out here because of the texture of the soil. I had an attorney say to me, he said, Leroy, will the prairie ever be worth anything more than a $5 bale of hay? We just couldn't fathom that. So, we've seen it happen. The next thing I'm hoping is that people find large tracts of property and begin to build some housing so people be, close to their jobs. It's just, I said to someone yesterday, I said, what? After a few more years, I'm going to step down. We want to incorporate West Lowndes, and I want to run for mayor out there. And but it's just exciting. Again, I think that if we can get some good subdivisions, and of course the county is going to do all it can to get its road in shape, try to keep them up, and and work on our educational facility, it's just going to be a mega boom.
Visiting with Leroy Brooks, it was his voice you just heard, and Trip Hairston as well. One of the things that when you're attracting new employees to an area, they want to know about local schools, right? They want to know about quality of life, what it's like to live in an area. And one of the early questions that they have is, what about schools? What have you been able to do in terms of working with schools, making sure they're offering the best and can be their best as Lowndes County in particular has grown?
Well, as you rode by probably this morning, you saw the community university there, and it was a large investment from various counties, EMCC, that built that. The programs that they have in the state as far as recruiting students and getting them involved, we've seen the evolution of that and look forward to seeing more and more of that as time goes on. So there is a commitment from our local school district to make sure that things are being done to introduce these type of jobs and industrial type jobs to them early on. And that way they get brought into the system sooner rather than later. We all talk about workforce participation. We've seen that increase over time. Also in this area, we've seen our average incomes higher than the state average. And that's what you see when you have this type of industrial development here and economic development. So the schools are, well, I'm sorry, Leroy, but the schools are very involved with that, and we've seen more and more of that happen.
Well, there is a greater conversation going on. Of course, we've got West Lowndes Elementary School, fantastic. And I think we all admit that as we work on the high school, and there's more conversation to kind of enhance that, to make people feel comfortable that the schools are where their children want to go. So I think that's the other piece of this major puzzle is good education. You just can't beat it. I mean, you just got to prepare your kids with a good education. And, of course, some of them go to some of the plants, some of them will go to college. I was looking in the paper yesterday at the tuition cost, a 4-year tuition cost at Mississippi State for over, 16 hours, like $50,000 for 4 years. That's pretty expensive. So, but I talked to a lot of young people, and they said, Mr. Brooks, can we really go out there and make $100,000 if you get yourself together? And so what happens is they get a job, they may be making 30, they get a job making $100,000 a year, and all of a sudden their lifestyle changed. They get a better car, a better house. Kids are able to travel and do some things. So it changes your whole mindset. So we are all aware of things we need to do with education, and I think everybody's committed to working toward that.
And Leroy, when you and I were in high school, it was called shop class.
It was.
But it's not shop anymore.
No.
Now it's career technical education and this high level training. And we were talking about a story just last week. There was a welding program at a school in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and there was an 11th grader that had signed a contract for a job that was going to start at $70,000.
Wow. Yeah. Well, that happens here in Lowndes County.
And the demand is there. I mean, as these projects continue, it's not just the jobs on the back end, but you got to build all the facilities and get everything ready to go on the front end.
Of course, the local school district is a very big recipient of the fee in lieu, and so our facilities are second to none.
That's fantastic.
Yep.
Appreciate both of you coming by this morning, Leroy Brooks and Trip Hairston. Hairston. I didn't think I was going to do that.
It's spelled Hairston, so
I still did it. Great to visit with both of you this morning. Continued success. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. We're back with you right after this. This segment of Mornings with Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
Morning, partner. The sun is up, the coffee is on, and you're starting your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross, here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
I came here looking for something I couldn't find anywhere else.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Glad to be with you Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. We're broadcasting live today from Lowndes County. We are at 4 County Electric Power Association. Big announcement and ceremony. The official unveiling of the Cinco mega site. This is an industrial site that is ready for business, ready for occupants to come in. Just kind of looking at the brochure that they gave us earlier. In terms of space and sites, there is a 4 million square foot space that can be expanded by another 2 million square feet. And then you've got additional buildings, 500,000, 400,000, 1.2 million, 1.2 million. So not only is this a site where you can have multiple entities, you got a company, if they want to take up the whole thing, they could come in and take that 4 million square feet and then have room to grow for an extended period of time. It really is an incredible project. Over 1,400 acres where the infrastructure is in place. And one of the things that I was interested about, and we'll talk with Joe Max Higgins about coming up a little bit later, is rail capability. I don't know that that's something, Lance, that any of us think about anymore, because in a lot of ways, trains have gone the way of the dodo bird. It doesn't feel like those are nearly as common as they have been. But just a mile away from significant rail infrastructure, when you talk about transporting product, whether it's steel or other things, steel or aluminum, to the places that they need to go, really making this an intercontinental site and not just a East Mississippi site.
I'll say this, with rail, one thing you'll see when oil prices get out of the roof, boy, you'll see those trucks sitting on the back of flatbed railroads. So, the trains will be pulling those things along. So you got to have a diversified platform of transportation as well.
Yeah, it's a fascinating setup. Canadian Pacific Kansas City Rail operates a main line that's just a mile from the site boundary. So it'll be pretty easy to connect in for a company that comes in and takes that space. Middays will be tomorrow at Itawamba Community College in Fulton. Their 2025 spring graduation. You'll hear about all the incredible things happening at ICC and how they're training the future of Mississippi's workforce. On Saturday, Garden Mama will be in Tupelo for the Tupelo Farmers Market at the Depot. Tupelo Farmers Market at the Depot is locally grown vegetables, fruit, honey, flowers, and so much more. And Lance will be along for the ride on that as well, producing that show as he does every Saturday morning. And finally, this afternoon on In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, you'll hear an interview with Bryce Upholt. He's a journalist that writes for National Geographic and has a new book coming out about the Mississippi River. In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, presented by Superior Catfish. Remember, there's catfish, then there's Superior Catfish. U.S. farm-raised catfish with homegrown flavor. Ask for it by name at your favorite store or restaurant and go to superiorcatfish.com for more information. Let's check in on the C Spire text line. You're holding down the fort there, aren't you?
See
all your little side conversations going on. 601-879-4395. 601-879-4395. Somebody says, seems like you got there naturally in the conversation, but this was the message before. I feel like development of mega sites has been a popular economic development approach in recent years in Mississippi, typically aimed at attracting manufacturing and large industrial projects. Problem I see is the job force is going to be depleted without continued education programs aimed at training workers for these jobs. What do the state and county leaders need to do to be investing? Yeah, that's a lot of what we've talked about. And, it's interesting. It's one of the things that I've learned kind of sitting in this chair for 6 months now, 7 months, kind of going back to October. And obviously back in February, we changed over to Mornings with Richard Cross. But as we have continued to have conversations with state leaders, it's incredible to me how interconnected a lot of these ideas, concepts, and projects are. And so think about where we are today. We'll draw the spider web. So Golden Triangle Development Link. And you've got all of these sites with significant jobs. Now let's slide to the southwest and get into Madison County, where you've got the major project that is going on with Amazon and the $20 billion starting investment there and the construction of all those data centers. Now let's due north about 175 miles or so and get to Marshall County, where you've got the battery factory project and those additional projects that have gone in there. Now to the east of Marshall County, we talked yesterday about the announcement of the furniture distributor that's coming into Blue Mountain in that kind of, I don't know. I don't think it's fair to call Blue Mountain part of the greater Tupelo area, but it's that part of the state of Mississippi. And then you slide south, like way south, maybe 300 miles south, and you get to the coast. And you've got projects that are happening at Stennis, and you've got continued growth with Ingalls. Part of this Trump administration's conversation is about new and modernizing ships, which means that shipbuilding industry is going to continue to grow. So yes, to the point on the texters, somebody said Madison County is not southwest Mississippi. Hold on just a second. I didn't say Madison County was southwest Mississippi. I said let's slide southwest from where we are to Madison County. Listening comprehension, it's a skill. Come on now, don't look for a gotcha moment when it's not there. It's just kind of bouncing around the geographic part of the state of Mississippi where you got a lot of stuff going on that gets to the larger point that the texter was making. You don't have a name there. Hey, all of this investment, how do we fill the jobs? How do we make sure that we've got a workforce that can handle it? All right, so here's the next piece of the spider web. Bill Cork trying to help the governor's office of the state of Mississippi attract investment, more localized investment, private companies that are building. Everybody needs workers. Courtney Taylor, Empower Mississippi, that's their job, right? It's work that's happening at high schools. And I highlighted that story that we talked about, Lance, last week with the kind of in the Northeast and the Eastern Seaboard where you've got these welding jobs and these electrical jobs and these plumbing jobs that are in such high demand that you've got companies that are going into high schools and recruiting 11th and 12th graders while they are still in high school saying, hey, if you come out with these skills, then this is the job that is waiting for you. And there was one particular young man who was a welder who was, as an 11th grader, signed on for a $70,000 a year job coming out of high school a year and a half from now. So when you look at the high schools and the community colleges in the state of Mississippi, and you keep hearing CTE, 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 that's not concussion stuff. We're talking about career training education.
Well, and Build Mississippi, one of our great sponsors here at SuperTalk and the Handyman Show, Brent Bean, anybody that's in high school, junior high out there, if you're interested in these things, reach out to Build Mississippi and Brent Bean. He would love to talk to you, and he goes around to schools and all that stuff. So, I mean, we are building that right here in the state organically. And reach out, folks, because the opportunities are there, and we have great people at the helm of these things.
Yeah. Really good programs in place that are teaching young people, but not just, I mean, that's why I mentioned the community college as well, right? So it's not just you're in high school, what am I going to do with my life? You're in community college, what am I going to do with my life? It's also for people that are already in the workforce and maybe are underemployed. And you're saying, okay, I'm making, I don't know, $50,000 a year. And it's enough to get by, but I'd like to grow, right? We've got a family. I need to provide more. I'm having to work a second job to make everything work. So those opportunities for certificate programs and training programs within the community college system can absolutely translate, even if it's not immediate, though in a lot of cases it is immediate, making that jump from a $50,000 a year job where you feel like you're barely getting by, assuming there's a family and children and all those things, to a $75,000 a year job. Or you heard Leroy Brooks say a second ago, a $100,000 a year job where you've got benefits and you're able to save a little money and able to take those trips. And that's that's the big spider web in all of this and how it's all connected. The economic development piece, the attracting the companies coming in, the companies needing to fill jobs, people looking for more jobs, looking to grow their income, grow their families. It really is a fascinating thing. Somebody said Southwest, I guess it's Dave. Dave was saying Southwest Mississippi is being completely overlooked by the rest of the state. I'm not sure, Dave, that's the case, but I will say some of that may be that the city and county leaders in Southwest Mississippi have not yet come together to put a unified front together to attract some of this business. You look at these economic projects, it's not just the governor's office just handing these projects to places and say, hey, you look like you could use some development. Here's a project. No, it takes some initiative, it takes some planning, it takes a lot of work to get these done. So it's got to be a two-way street. We're back with you. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From the Venable.
No matter where you're from, Abbeville, Batesville, DeIberville, or any other ville in the SIP, you're starting your day off right. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Reading, I'm going, baby, there, going to Memphis, see that what is there. Reading, I'm going, know my baby there.
Good to be with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, Thursday morning. Gorgeous day across the Magnolia State. Temperatures from the low 80s into the low 90s. What was it, Petal, that we said? 92 degrees for the high today? There you go. We're broadcasting live today from the Golden Triangle, from Lowndes County, from Ford County Electric Power Association, where later today there will be an official unveiling of the Cinco mega site. And it's been fun to talk to you about this project. I remember the first time that Joe Max Higgins was on with me. I was filling in for Paul at the time, and he started talking about mega sites and Cinco this. I had no idea what he was talking about. And it's been fun for me to learn about the scale of these projects, the impact that they're having on this part of the state of Mississippi. There's a lot of good stuff going on. But it's not easy stuff. It sounds like it's easy when you kind of hear it and you see the result, but long way from the beginning of where these projects started to where we are now. House Republicans proposed sweeping tax breaks earlier this week in the big priority bill for Donald Trump, tallying at least $4.9 trillion in cost. But it is not without controversy. We finally, late yesterday, by the way, did you see the videos of the Congress people, men and women, sleeping? Did you see those, Lance?
No, I didn't.
You had a congressman that was sitting there. They were going through a roll call vote. I think his name was Moore. So they're calling, Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore. And he's just sitting there sacked out.
Bueller.
Hannah. It's exactly what it sounded like. And finally, the representative sitting next to him nudged him, and he kind of startled, jumped, and he goes, yeah. Vote no. I don't even know what you're voting on.
Reminds me of math class, yeah.
Was it Debbie Dingell, I think it was, the congresswoman? She's sitting in her chair and is laid back, head thrown back, just staring straight up and just like barely snoring. And she explained yesterday on Twitter, she goes, I had been fighting against the Republican efforts in the Congress for 31 hours, and I just was exhausted. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The left media, and it's fascinating to watch how they are grasping at straws right now.
Well, I mean, Tapper, goodness gracious.
Early in the week, it was, okay, the Qatari jet is the big brouhaha. But then, yesterday, Donald Trump falls asleep meeting with Qatari leaders. Really? Did he? You sure that's what happened? Like he wasn't eyes closed thinking about something for about the 20 seconds that his eyes were closed when he – I don't know. It's like that's what you got. Maybe he was asleep. Maybe the guy hadn't slept at all in 3 days and he fell asleep. Lot of debate, though. The point in all that was Ways and Means finally got through the markup process with the budget. And there is an interesting dynamic that is going on. You have Democrats who are saying getting rid of all the Medicaid, the $13.7 million in Medicaid coming off the roll. They're not doing what they said they were going to do. And then you have Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, on X posting that, hey, we've done everything we said we were going to do. No tax on tips. No tax on Social Security, no tax on financed automobiles, lowering the overall budget. And so it's like, what's the answer? What's the answer? You gotta dig and really figure out what this is. Meanwhile, Donald Trump rolling out the red carpet or the lavender carpet or the marble floors or whatever is just not an adequate way to describe the way he has been received in the Middle East. And Lance, you'll have to forgive me for continuing to go back to what we said 2 days ago with it's complicated. It is complicated when you look at the history of the Middle East. But I'm not sure that it's complicated at all in the eyes of Donald Trump. Like, I think he's pretty clear in his vision on this.
I do. I think he's very confident in what it's going to take to get everything going in the right direction there. Everybody pulling together.
Make America great, America first. How do you do that? You go get foreign money invested in the United States. But not in the way that China has invested money in the United States. They've just plugged money in and loaned money where it feels like they are holding the note. No, this is trade partnerships, putting us in a better place to succeed, investing money into companies that are building and manufacturing and growing and creating jobs in the United States. And it's up over $2 trillion in this 3-day span in which the president has spent time in the Middle East. Joe Max Higgins joins us coming up next as we continue. Mornings with Richard Cross on this Thursday, the 15th of May. Golden Triangle Development Link. A lot of good stuff happening here. We're back with you right after this.
All right, now to the important stuff.
Your VIP pass to hear what the most influential Mississippians are talking about.
This is very important.
Huge news. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Probably.
Welcome again. It is Mornings with Richard Cross. We roll into the 8 o'clock hour with you. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday weekend just around the corner. Broadcasting live today from the Golden Triangle Development Link. We're not actually at their headquarters, but it might as well be. We are at 4-County Electric Power Association. Today is the official unveiling. Now, if Joe Max Higgins could ever keep a secret, it might actually be the unveiling, but because he can't, we call it the official unveiling of the Cinco mega site. We're going to get to that in just a second. Remind you, though, that you can join the conversation on the C Spire text line, 601-879-4395. You're looking for game-changing technology, then you need C Spire on your team. 5G wireless, fiber home internet, business IT solutions built as tough as your defense. Learn more at cspire.com. C Spire, inspired by you. This is a special day. It's been a great partnership between the Golden Triangle Development Link and SuperTalk. It's always fun to be around and now officially here alongside Joe Max Higgins, who is CEO of GTR Development Link. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Now, how'd you get that state championship ring? Show everybody. We got people that are watching as well. There we go. He's got a ring. Was that for taco? Was that a taco eating contest in college? That you got that for?
I won the taco eating contest at Arkansas State in 1980 and got that ring.
There you go. All right. There are actually a couple of numbers on the side of that. One of them is 10, and it's got a B next to it. I think that represents $10 billion in infrastructure investment. And below that it says 10,000, and I believe that would be jobs created.
That's correct. Correct.
I think I'd get a ring made for that as well. Now, if you get tired of wearing it, is that one where you can melt it down and like let your wife put it on a necklace that she wears also?
We went to an event one time. It was like 50.
I have never seen his face red before, and his face is red right now.
We went to an event one time. It was the 50s, and she got a chain and put one. I get one of these every 2 years.
Okay.
And she put it on and wore it like it was a senior class ring, like, you know, for like a poodle skirt and stuff.
Now is this like a Super Bowl ring? You know, guys that win Super Bowl rings, a lot of them will put them in a safe, and like they never wear them, and then they'll pull them out for. Do you wear this every day?
I wear. No, this is stick. I wear this for special events. It will be put up. This is the first time I've worn this ring, and it will go back in my safe with the other ones, correct? And then I'll get another one in about a year and a half, and I'll wear it to a special event. And it's a conversation starter.
It is.
Here's how we started doing it. When our chairs retire, when they retire, they're 2 years, to commemorate, setting goals, creating jobs, creating investment is our job. So each of them gets a ring, and it shows how many jobs they created and what their investment was while they were chairman. And when we have events with them, they all wear their rings to the events. Yeah. And they get together and they start looking at each other's rings. We got people who got $500 million on a ring. The last lady got a $3.2 billion on her ring.
Wow.
And they compare and say, well, you know, it was harder when I was doing it.
That word actually is a good one for where I'd like for us to go this morning. It's easy to look as we've got this fancy brochure for Cinco megasite, the 5th megasite, and go, man, that looks great, without understanding what has gone into getting to this point. I'm not sure. I know you make it look easy, and you talk fast and you work hard and all of those things, but from day one, breaking ground, getting consensus with multiple counties, getting investment from local business leaders, successful business owners, and also the local governments to where we are today. Not an easy process.
No, it's not. But if you can paint the picture and show people and explain to them what's going to happen, what you think's going to happen. I use a phrase. There'll be people sitting on the front row this morning. They're landowners, okay, or this afternoon. They fly with us in the faith column. We say, give us an option on your land. Let's put this together, and you paint the picture. Mm-hmm. And you sit down with the elected officials. Say, if we do this, this can happen. If we do this, and we look at the market, what's out there, what other people have, what we could have. And the first one was kind of tough. But once the Board of Supervisors saw the steel mill come in and the profits that we made off of that, and the jobs that got created, and the goodwill. Sure. The second one was easier. The third one was easier. The fourth one was easier. This one, aside from just the steps you have to do and the time it takes to do it, is probably the easiest one we've done because we've got a track record of 4 of them with, think about it, steel mill, PACCAR, Yokohama, and the aluminum mill. That's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And
steel was first.
Steel mill was absolutely the first. This megasite with TVA's megasite program was the Lowndes County megasite. That was its official name. Was the first certified megasite in all of TVA. They certified 2 of them here in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, and within months we got the steel mill.
And Hopkinsville is a car manufacturer plant,
Hopkinsville never got anybody on their side. It's probably the failure to launch of the program.
Really?
Yeah. But
But isn't that an illustration of just because you build it doesn't mean they come?
Correct. And you got to have all that stuff, you know. But now there's a lot of success stories. You know, the Wellspring site at Tupelo where Toyota's located, that was a certified TVA mega site. Where Mazda Toyota went in Huntsville, TVA mega site. Chattanooga, where the Volkswagen plant is, TVA megasite.
All right, so that designation, TVA megasite approved or certified, what's the difference in that and I build a megasite over here and it's not necessarily certified by TVA? What does do I get a ring for that or
no? a lot of the power companies and states now have this program, but literally TVA invented this.
Okay.
We heard the story at dinner last night. John Bradley said, we went to meet with the major site consultants, the major car companies, the big companies, said, what are you looking for?
Yeah.
Then they hired a third party to come in and score these and say, what are you looking for? I'm looking for a site of 1,500 acres,
okay.
1,000 developable. It's got to have rail. We prefer for it to be Class 1. We prefer for it to have 2 rail. It's got to be within 50 miles of commercial airport. It's got to be an entertainment area. You got to have water and sewer. You got to have a population of a certain all these criteria. And when they unveiled this program at Nashville, there were like 500 people there. State senators, U.S. senators, mayors, elected officials, everybody. And I sat there and I watched the guys to the left of me and I watched the guys right of me and said, well, we're done. We don't have the criteria.
Huh.
And we did. And we went back and we put it together and we got it certified and we got us a fish. And that's probably what transformed the region, okay? Because $120,000 jobs, a lot of them, a big investment, put us on the radar screen. But here's the thing. Right after, 30 days after we broke ground on the steel mill, we signed the options on what is now the PACCAR site and put the second mega site together. Yeah. We didn't even check up. Then we did. We added West Point. We did the West Point and got Yokohama. Got it before the options ever expired. And then we did Infinity. Now the aluminum mill's there. And when the aluminum mill came in, people don't realize that took 2,600 acres out of our portfolio. The aluminum mill, the biochar, and the future project took land that we owned that had water and sewer and rail and all the stuff gone. We got caught with our drawers down. And we said, we got to do something. So we found this site. I've been trying to buy this site for almost 20 years.
Right.
And we brought the landowner in and negotiated, and he said, I'll do it. And I said, what's the difference now? And he said, the first time you asked me, I was 60. He said, I'm 80 today.
2 decades, yeah.
Two decades.
Time to cash in. What about the future? Leroy Brooks was sitting here earlier, and I said, you've been here since the beginning, and 1 to 2, 2 to 3, and on and on. Is there a 6? Is there a 6? Is there a 7? Or, whatever because you don't strike me as a guy who is ready to just sit tight.
No, I think it just depends. I never plan on doing 5, okay? But it just the opportunity lent itself to it. I will tell you.
You got an option that you're going to exercise within 30 days?
No. Well, we haven't got a tenant for this yet, so we got to wait till somebody comes.
Okay.
But I can tell you that I already have my engineers working on a 1,500-acre site with dual rail right now, running cost and looking at it to have it in the back pocket in case. I mean, because I think we're real big on having plan A, B, and C, okay? Because a lot of times plan A never works out, so you better have it.
It's like the idea with an athletics director who doesn't know what the future holds but has that mysterious list in their top drawer of, if they had to go after a new coach, this is who I would like.
Correct. And I'm already doing that.
You talked about the 2,600 acres coming out of your portfolio and not necessarily having the next piece in place. This obviously worked out. I mean, obviously there's a finite amount of land. You got to find a willing landowner to sell.
Correct.
Or other. Do you see that being an issue going forward, or is there still enough land within kind of this Tri-County region that you feel like you've got options?
There's definitely enough land. Probably the challenges that you have are obviously the cost of the property goes up over time.
Sure.
When we did the first mega site, that property appraised at $19.50 an acre. We gave them 5. We're at 22 over here. Okay, so if you can pay the
$22,000 an acre.
Mm-hmm. If you can pay the piper, you can get there. And then the regulatory routes, the wetlands, the cultural resources, that's all harder now than it used to be.
It's not that he was 20 years older. It was that you offered $20,000 an acre more. That may have been the difference. We got more coming up. Mornings with Richard Cross.
From the Venable.
Wake up, get up, and start your day right with Mornings with Richard Cross here on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
We're going to have to pause for a second and listen to Chris Stapleton before we talk.
I'm fine. I like y'all's music. I will tell you this, and I don't mean to
You're not pausing.
But Gerard, has the best music.
Gerard thinks he's going to a Van Halen concert every day.
That's my music.
Yeah. That's cute when he wears that leather jacket with all those logos on it, too. I mean, you want to talk about a guy that, buttoned up and, tied up, and then all of a sudden he shows up in like a leather, it's like suede with different color leather sleeves concert. Is it Van Halen or is it somebody else that he likes so much? Journey. He's a Journey guy. Yeah.
It's his alter ego.
Because we haven't heard enough Don't Stop Believing along the way. So we were all over the place. There you go. That's the
yeah.
Joe Max Higgins is my guest, CEO of the Golden Triangle Development Link, and we're talking about the Cinco mega site. That is being officially unveiled today, and they're still looking for a tenant. So if you've got a multi-billion-dollar business and you'd like to locate in Lowndes County, we got a site for you, no doubt about that. I want us to go back to when I say very beginning, I don't necessarily mean project number one. But I do think we've got people all over the state of Mississippi that are listening, who are hearing, okay, mega site, industrial development, what are they really talking about? So take me back to like square one starting point, exactly what it is that we're talking about in terms of the development of one of these sites, what it means, why you're doing it.
Okay. So when TVA invented this, some time ago, 2 decades ago, car companies were all in vogue. And everybody said, there's not a town in the United States that doesn't think outside the bean field out beside town, the cornfield out beside town, that's where the next Toyota, that's where the next Mazda, that's where the next Ford plant needs to go. Well, that's not right. Just because you got a big piece of property doesn't mean the next car company's going to go there. So they started working, writing the criteria, what companies look for, and then they started looking for the sites. And once you found a site, that was great. You found a big land, but you had to have it under option. And you have to do an inordinate amount of due diligence because the plan is to have all that done. And we use the term shovel ready way too loosely, but shovel ready, okay? And so when we did the first one, we spent about $170,000 on a ton of due diligence, soil borings, wetland studies, floodplain studies, geotechnical for seismic, water analysis, everything you can imagine. It's 6-inch 3-ring binders, multiples on a site. On this one, the cost of that was probably $650,000. It's gone up. But you have to do all that to be ready. And the thinking was, be sitting there, have it in your pocket. When somebody starts looking for a big site, you pull it out. And what it does, it moves you to the top of the line. Okay? Because while there's people in Mississippi and the South that will say they have mega sites, not all mega sites are the same. And so all of a sudden, things start getting graded, if you will. Our wins, what we've been able to do is we just don't tie the site up. We do all the infrastructure. We do everything. Yeah. So that if it goes to special session and the governor and the legislature gives money to the deal, the company can spend the money offsetting their cost inside the fence because roads, water, and sewer and rail are already built. And that let us win the aluminum. There were some in-state sites that were being looked at for the aluminum mill that we beat because they had to spend their money outside the fence, getting stuff to it. We got to spend the money inside the fence.
Does the legislation from this past session with House Bill 1, the elimination of the state income tax, is that big for you? Does it matter?
Well, that to me, that's a complex issue, okay? I think if the companies didn't have income tax, it would be way more important to the companies looking to come. But I've been schooled and educated by some of them. There are a lot of sole proprietors in Mississippi, okay, that does transfer to your right. balance sheet. When you take that into consideration, I think that makes it better for everybody. But I think everybody wants to change this, wants to change this. I don't know. The legislature studies it a whole lot more than I do, and I'm convinced now. When Speaker Gunn first introduced that, he came up here, and it was not the typical Rotary Club chicken eating, patting him on the back. He met with my industry and community leaders, and I think he would tell you he got accosted. Because we've got an educated group here that had concerns about this, concerns about that. He went back to Jackson, sat down with his team, and reworked that whole deal, and then came back and said, here's what I've done. Number one, it made us really feel good that he listened. I think he got a better product out of it. But My hat's off to Speaker Gunn, because a lot of people would have just said, well, we're going to do it like,
Sure.
we were going to listen to you bitch and we're still going to do it. He went back, made changes, and with corporate people, your next company, he said, I got to get you guys happy.
Yeah. Talking about the site being ready to go. Let's say that Houston has a massive company that he's ready to open the next big site for. And he comes to you and says, we've studied your product, we've studied all the specs, you've got everything that we need, we're ready to do a deal. Mm-hmm. From that day until, I guess, 2 phases. 1, construction can begin. 2, plant is operational. What's the timeline?
Well, the aluminum mill is a good example. That's a huge project, and it's probably more than 2 years before they're finished. If you go out there, you need to go by there today. You see the construction lot's still full, but they're over 2 years to build it. Probably 6 months leading up to it, sometimes 8. Sometimes it can be a year, but 6-8 months to get on paper where you're going to do it in agreement, and then at least 2 years to build.
We were talking this morning with Trip Hairston and Leroy Brooks about workforce, and got a question on the C Spire text line about that as well. It says, okay, all of these projects are coming online in Mississippi. Whether you're talking about the Amazon data centers in Madison County or what's going on in Marshall County, and the fact that to continue to do this, you've got to continue to have workforce, whether it's people that already live here, they're in other jobs moving over, or they're coming in from out of state. What's the Communiversity is an interesting example, right here down the road, where they are training people that are working in a lot of these facilities. What's the practical application? And I want to hear this from somebody, not where we're reading it in the Wall Street Journal, but somebody who's seeing it. A high school 10th, 11th, or 12th grader today that lives in Lowndes County, Lafayette County, Lauderdale County, I don't care, that says, you know what? I don't know that college is for me, but I love the idea of going to work for $75,000 a year when I'm 18 years old. Talk to me about the practical application of that.
Well, first of all, if you live in one of our 3 counties, you can go out there for free. It's free tuition. Okay, so let's think about that. Okay. You don't have to go borrow money to go to a 4-year university.
That's if you go to Communiversity.
At EMCC. Okay. I mean, it's not just the Communiversity. EMCC offers that to our 3 counties. Or we offer it, I guess I should say. But so you still got gas and books and stuff like that, but no tuition. Most of those programs they offer are 2 or 3 years. The mechatronics is 3 years. Most of the other associate's degrees are 2 years. They can leave there and go to work at the steel mill, aluminum mill, PACCAR, Yokohama. Boom, making money. They got no debt. In a perfect world, they're dating their high school sweetheart. She goes to nursing school, does the same thing. They get married. They start growing a family. They got no debt. They're adding to their 401k day one. They got no debt. They're making good money. Then he decides he wants to go back and be an engineer. These companies will pay you to go to a university and get an engineering degree or another degree. They'll pay for that.
This is career track stuff. It's not job track stuff.
Yeah. I'll give an example. I won't tell you the young man's name, but one of my friends has a son who is starting EMCC Communiversity in their mechatronics program. He applied for an internship at SDI, got it. He is going to be a student at EMCC. He is going to be working and getting paid as an intern at SDI. And when he gets finished, SDI is going to hire him. And then he wants to go to Mississippi State to get his mechanical engineering degree. Mm. It don't get much better than that.
And when you say they're going to hire him after the internship, at what kind of a salary?
Well, the steel mill, the average salary at the steel mill audited by the state of Mississippi is $120,000 a year.
The average.
The average.
Okay.
I mean, some people make more, some people make less. I think last year their profit sharing was 45% of their salary. In addition to that, okay. So we're talking about, and when Leroy was talking about, I mean, we're talking about meaningful money here, guys.
Well, and I mean, let's not say average. Let's say starting. Let's say a kid starts at $60,000. A young person starts at a $60,000 salary, and there's a 45% profit sharing. You're knocking on the door of $100,000.
Yeah, and look, it's not just a steel and aluminum mill. These other companies have PACCAR, 72 degrees. You can eat off the floor. I mean, you drop an egg sandwich on the floor, pick it up and eat it because there's no grit. They walk in, they walk in looking good. They walk out looking good.
I think I still got a sausage, egg, and cheese in here. I might have to try that.
Well, try that.
Speaking of PACCAR, Todd Wells is going to join us next. He's the plant manager. Look forward to learning more about all that's happening at PACCAR, and we may take this practical example a step farther and listen to the way Todd explains it as well. Thanks for having us. Always good to be with you. Always
thank y'all for
entertaining, and I hope you don't mind me giving you a hard time.
Yeah, don't give me a hard time. I'm a big boy.
I wouldn't do it if I didn't at least like you a little bit. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. We're back with you right after this.
You're waking up to what's happening. Mornings with Richard Cross. Right now on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Good being with you on this Thursday morning. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. Thanks for joining us. A native Louisianan, not sure if I got the right number of syllables in that, turned Texan, turned Mississippian. Todd Wells, plant manager at PACCAR Engine here in the Golden Triangle, joins me. Good morning. Thanks for stopping by.
Good morning, Richard. Thanks for having me.
Let's just start with what PACCAR does. There are lots of people that have heard that name and that know that it's part of this kind of link development, but they're like, tell me a little bit more about what exactly it is that you guys do.
Sure. So PACCAR, it is a global manufacturing company that produces heavy-duty trucks, most familiarly probably recognized with Peterbilt trucks and Kenworth trucks here in North America. We do produce products in Europe and other corners of the world as well that are DOF branded. But we have multi-divisions that support our industry and our business. And then we also produce engines, which is what we produce here in Columbus, Mississippi.
So PACCAR actually builds those two brands that you mentioned are under the PACCAR umbrella, but branded individually, and then you build the engines for those trucks here.
Yes.
And you said that's about 30% of the trucks on the road in the United States?
So right now our market mix is a little over 30% in terms of our market, in terms of what we contribute in trucks on the highway. And then we produce engines that go into those trucks.
Within that industry, how do you grow market share? I mean, you think about established brands in other lines. I mean, like people are either Coke people or they're Pepsi people, they're Ford people or they're Chevrolet people. Is it like that in the truck industry as well?
It's very much so. That's very much the case. I mean, a lot of the things that you do is how you introduce the technology that's available to utilize and make everybody's experience with the product more value to them. Bringing that comfort level, that reliability level, that support level, and also it's about relationships, about how you support your customers and the bonds that you create with your customers.
I think there is an image that exists in some people's minds of what factories look like, and it's kind of dark and it's a little dirty on the floor and grimy, and you got people that are covered in grease from head to toe, and that's not really what high-level industrial manufacturing looks like anymore, is it?
That's not the case for us. That is for sure. Our facility.
Tell me about the facility.
Absolutely. So I would say our perspective from PACCAR in any of our facilities are very, very well maintained, very clean facilities, and that's very much the case with our facility that we have here in Mississippi. It is immaculate. We take pride in keeping our facilities very clean, very orderly, and because we view it as benefits that benefit our employees, our team members that come to work every day and spend their 8 hours of their life every day in that environment. So we want to make it a very inviting environment that you spend a lot of your time in. The second part of that is we utilize our manufacturing locations as sales tools. We bring a lot of customers through our facilities every year, and we utilize that as a sales tool. This is why you need to partner with PACCAR in purchasing products that we produce.
So beyond the brands that you're supplying, obviously you're supplying the engines for those trucks that you were talking about with Peterbilt and, forgive me, the other brand you said was?
Kenworth.
Peterbilt and Kenworth. So you're supplying the engines for your trucks. Are you also supplying engines for other brands?
So not
when you say customers, who are you talking about?
Our customers are our customers that purchase our Peterbilt and Kenworth branded trucks.
Okay.
We do have a relationship with Pierce Fire Truck and Apparatus to where we do provide engines for the first response vehicles that they produce. But it's a very low portion of our productivity, but it is an outstanding partnership that we truly treasure.
So there's a truck line company that is starting up or is looking at making a change. You're trying to sell them on why your engines and your trucks are the way to go for them.
The value we bring and the efficiency to their operations.
In terms of actually building the engines, how much of that process is automated at this point?
So we have in our machining operations, I would say that it's very heavily automated because of the tolerances and the tight quality specifications that you have to achieve in engine building. And then whenever we transition from the machining operations and start transferring over into the assembly operations, that's where you see a more integration between manual task and some automation supported systems that the operators our team members utilize to complete their tasks. So you see a bit of a mix of the different technologies and also the man dependency element of manufacturing come together in the facility.
I have almost like this cartoon vision of an assembly line where it's like, okay, the engine's rolling down the conveyor belt and this guy tightens a bolt and this guy, screws something in. It's not exactly the what we're talking about there,
Not exactly the case. Not exactly.
I feel like I need to ask for a tour of PACCAR. Today might be short notice, but I'd love to see the facility.
Would love to have you.
And the way that it operates. So kind of walk me through that process. And I don't know if we can necessarily go soup to nuts, very beginning to very end. But what does the process for production of a new engine look like?
So we receive castings, which are the molted metal that is in a somewhat of an idea of an engine, a block or
the block
head.
Almost, yeah, okay.
And then the machining, we take that and we mill out all the journals, all the features that make that engine ready for assembly, to have all the internal components installed in it and then assembled together and then dressed with the external components on it in our assembly process.
So is that laser cut? Is it lathes that are drilling holes?
Highly precision CNC machines, systems that do the work.
It really is an incredible process. So you said you've been with PACCAR, you told me off air, for 25 years.
25 years.
What does that career evolution look like for you?
For me, over the course of the 25 years, I've had the opportunity to work through probably 12 different roles over the course of that 25 years. And through my career journey, it's been a lot of exposure to all the aspects of our business that I've had the opportunity to go in, whether it's the logistics side of the business, it's production management portions of the business, strategic planning and development roles, even going into and working out in our supply base, our supplier partners that provide us a lot of the components that we use in our manufacturing processes, and then into the more, recently in my career, kind of taking a part in terms of the more executive leadership types roles, setting the vision for the organization and executing that vision.
And I'm thinking about that in terms of kind of what we were talking about with Joe Max a little while ago, the 17-year-old who isn't sure what they want to do, or back it up, you said you've got a 13-year-old son, I've got a 12-year-old son. And maybe it's not exactly like it was when we were growing up, but still you ask, a young person, hey, what do you want to do? I want to be a professional baseball player, or I want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I don't know that there are that many kids that say, I want to build engines when I grow up. How does that vision come to life for somebody that is in high school or is even in college and kind of sees an opportunity and then begins to realize that, okay, I'm not going to be a professional athlete, but this is a career path. And I said to Joe a second ago, I said, we're talking about careers, not jobs. Is that a reasonable distinction?
Absolutely. I'm interested in the ones that want to have a career.
Okay.
And because that's the employee, that's the team members that you're looking for, because they have investment They have engagement. They have a sense of belonging to something that's bigger than maybe their individualistic, needs, which are very important. But they're interested in things that are greater than they are.
So is your journey within PACCAR corporate unique, or are there a lot of people that maybe started there early and have kind of worked their way into management or executive level positions? Is that a reasonable goal or a reasonable opportunity for somebody that says, okay, I'm going to start at the ground level and work my way through?
Within the PACCAR culture, it is not unique.
Okay.
We have a lot of our growth, and you talk to a lot of our team members and our employees company-wide that have 20, 25 years of experience, even 15 and 10, we develop from within. We spend a lot of time developing our team from within for that growth and to have that career. That's a big part of our culture.
So we were talking about it a second ago with Joe Max, that young person that is looking for the opportunity. I'm assuming that you're like most companies, you're looking for good people.
Absolutely.
What does that look like for a graduating high school senior, a community college graduate, or maybe somebody that graduates from Mississippi State or Ole Miss or wherever else with an engineering degree?
Well, we have multiple approaches on how we target potential prospective future team members.
Sure.
And we start out into the junior high school levels to where we do various events to introduce those students earlier in their life to what possibilities and opportunities lie ahead of them, and where we bring students into our facility and give them tours. Over the past year, we brought in over 100 students from 6 local high schools in this area within these counties. And that's big. That's giving them some options to think about over the next 2 to 3 years while they're trying to figure out what path do they want to take when they graduate high school.
Yeah.
So we do that. We have partnerships with the MCC. We have a very close-knit relationship with Mississippi State. We have a relationship with Ole Miss where we're working through internship programs, co-ops, skill trade co-ops, and things like that to help us develop tomorrow's prospective employee.
Todd Wells, plant manager at PACCAR Engine Company. Thanks so much for coming by.
Thank you. Appreciate the time.
We'll be back with you after this.
From the Venable Glass.
Waking up Mississippi. From South Haven to Scuba, it's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Fast 3 hours with you this morning. Don't forget, we've got more on SuperTalk Mississippi starting at 10 this morning when Middays with Gerard Gibbert will be in, and we'll continue to talk about all that's happening with the Cinco mega site, as today is the official unveiling of this newest mega site within the Golden Triangle Development Link project. And, it's interesting. We've been talking about opportunities within Mississippi, whether it's in the manufacturing space or the development space, economic development, and all these things going on. And when Joe Max earlier was talking about some of the requirements that companies are looking for, or TVA is looking for to certify, one of the things that he mentioned was a commercial airport. Matt Dowell is the executive director with Golden Triangle Regional Airport. I'm not sure you look old enough to be an executive director, and yet congratulations. Obviously, it's good. But you mentioned to me you went to Delta State, part of the aviation program, and that's one of those things that, pardon the pun, flies under the radar a little bit, but an incredible aviation program that's part of the Delta State offering.
That's exactly right. I think a lot of people don't know about it unless they're interested in going into aviation. But there's a lot of aviation education that can be had in the state. There's a lot of great careers, like at airports, which is where I'm at. And so we always encourage students especially to go see what the educational opportunities are, go job shadow, go out to the airport, see all the different jobs and opportunities that Mississippi has to offer.
Now, did you go in expecting to be a pilot and emerge on the backside on the administrative side?
That's kind of exactly what happened. So it was interesting, right? I think most people, when they think about a career in aviation, they think about pilot training, they think about being a fighter pilot. I had a lot
Top
of
Gun.
Exactly. I had family members who were in the military, so obviously that was where I kind of grew up, was at air shows and seeing military planes fly and talking with them about their years of service in the military. But then I found my way to my airports, and like I said, there's so many careers in aviation that help support airports and transportation that people don't really think of. They're thinking of pilot training first. It was a great experience for me at Delta State, and then I obviously found my way to the airport and fell in love with our area and everything that we have going on, and just we're one piece of transportation for our area that hopefully strengthens economic development. And so we have a good partnership with Joe and his team. We're excited about what they have going on at the Seco mega site. I always tell people we don't make the passenger base. That comes from business travel, that comes from leisure travel, that comes from economic development, all the jobs that are happening in our area. So we're just trying to keep up with all the we have going on economic development wise in the area.
So in terms of GTR and the passenger load that comes through there, you got people flying in and out that are executives related to the mega sites, customers that are coming in and out. Obviously, a lot of people come in and out for stuff that's related to Mississippi State, whether it's athletics or business or whatever. A lot of growth opportunity, and there have been some big announcements that have come out of GTR in terms of capacity growth.
That's right. No, we're always trying to grow capacity, and we were really excited that American Airlines is now offering service at the Golden Triangle Regional Airport. We've wanted to go west and have a westbound connection to DFW for a long time, so we're excited that on May 5th they had their very first inaugural flight into GTR, and now they're offering daily flights back and forth to DFW, and that's in addition to our Delta service in Atlanta. So we can go east, we can go west, you can go to the two largest airline hubs in the world out of the Golden Triangle Airport, and then obviously that supports the entire region and hopefully supports economic development, leisure travel, Mississippi State, both their student base, fan base, as well as their professors. So there's a lot going on.
So is the next step for that, you add a Charlotte flight? I mean, you kind of think about the two hubs in terms of American. I'm fly American. Not that there's anything wrong with Delta. It's just made more sense for me. And it feels like primarily I fly out of Memphis, and so it's either I'm going to Dallas or going to Charlotte to go wherever else it is that I need to go. Is that the next step?
You know, what we'd like to do is see them continue to build more and more flights to Dallas. We like having multiple connection points and different times of day because some people want to leave early in the morning, some like the mid-afternoon, some people want to come in late at night. So we're really trying to focus on Dallas growing the amount of flight options and the number of flights coming and going. And so we'd like to get them up to 3, just like Delta. We're trying to work with them to have 3 different flights because the more connection points and different times of travel, the more convenient it is to come and go from the Golden Triangle.
Big 3, big 4, I guess, when you think about major airlines, American and Delta and United and Southwest. But we've seen growth in smaller airlines. Is that part of the plan with GTR that maybe offers some more regional options that don't exist with those big airlines?
It's a good question. So we're always talking with different airlines. We are not specific in who we want here. We want everybody to come and offer as much service as possible. So we're just trying to tell the story about the opportunity that all the airlines have in the Golden Triangle, and that is a growing population base. Those are customers who need airline service today and in the future, and so they can come and grow with us. And like you said, they're kind of the big 3, but there's other ones that we're talking with as well. So everyone is welcome to offer airline service in the Golden Triangle Airport.
If you want to add flights, they are happy to have you at GTR. Only 30 seconds left, so quick answer here. In terms of the mega sites and all the industry growth, how has that affected GTR?
That is really the catalyst for our growth. That's the reason the airline service is here. It's because of the population that is growing. It is because of the jobs that are growing. And so they see the opportunity for growth, and they're here to grow with us.
Thanks so much for coming by. Great visiting with you.
Thanks for having me, Richard.
Continued success. Matt Dowell, Executive Director at GTR, Golden Triangle Regional Airport. Thanks for being with us. Gerard's back at 10 o'clock. Scott Sands is in tomorrow morning. For Lance, I'm Richard. Have a great day. It's Mornings with Richard Cross.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.